time. And so, the thing is with content creation, bro, is that there is a lot of grass is greener. Because I like look at you and I'm like, man, I just wish I could just like, open up the front facing camera, give
That's-
some takes, and not sound crazy. See, you
yeah.
sound good. You sound like you know what you I would sound crazy. And so there's space for both of us, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely,
All
definitely,
right.
definitely,
All
definitely,
right,
man.
all right, all right. Let's jump into the conversation. Let's jump into it. I want to start with boycotts. I want to get your kind of overall take on whether or not I had this great conversation with Ole and friends over on YouTube. I know you've been on her platform. We were talking about the effectiveness of boycotts, and I'm curious what you think. Like, do you think that boycotts are an effective kind of approach for progress? And I'm thinking about this specifically within the context of these DEI rollbacks. We know that Pastor Jamal Bryant and others have come together and called for people, specifically Black people, to boycott Target because of their DEI rollbacks. And so I'm curious if you think that that's an effective strategy, if you think any of this will work, if there will be any change.
I think going just borrowing off of my metaphor about food, I think that a lot of our protests become very performative and they microwavable. You know what I'm saying? They fly by in the night, and I think that it makes it where the material impact they can bring doesn't really happen because it's so quick and performative. What I always remind myself is how long the Birmingham bus car took. And really think about how I believe our generation and world is today, how I think that we ain't about that life. You know what I mean? So for me, I think that protests can be effective. I think the way that we do protests is piss poor, inefficient, performative, very temporary, very, made to be like symbolic to the point where it's just symbolic. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like it's an empty signifier. You know what I'm saying? When I think about historically how our ancestors had boycotted, it was really about disrupting the means of production, disrupting how we are able to, you feel me, our business as usual. You know what I'm saying? We was really trying to like bring material like implications, not just like they gonna see us. We're gonna make them see us. Like, nah, we're gonna hit them in the pocket for real. And I just think right now, the individualism is dead. The last thing I say to end this rant, before we got on here, I seen this video on TikTok of this Black woman saying, hey man, I seen somebody that was getting evicted. How come we don't do rent parties no more? If they would have
Mm.
threw a rent party with an XYZ, now granted, it'd be hard trying to raise $2,000 and everybody broke. You know what I'm saying? Because rent up high. I acknowledge
Right.
that. But something I see in the comment section though, you know what I'm saying, Garrison, that really hit me though, was like because we started buying into handouts being bad and thinking that us as individuals gotta prove, you feel me? Like actually the comment was just we bought into, you know what I'm saying, seeing handouts as bad. And I thought about like, damn, we thought about handouts being so bad that we've allowed for it to corrode, you feel me, the collective nature and collective thought that we used to have as a community that made it where we thought about it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to survive, it takes a village to da 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 da. That village has now been you know what I'm saying, put into, the isolated households.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, or to the point of the comment as you're expounding on it, beyond even seeing handouts as being bad, I think we want to be the landlord more often than not. Like beyond just the like idea of like, let me give some mutual aid, let me help my brother, my sister. I would rather own the property in the first place. At least that's a lot of what a lot of people
For
are thinking
sure.
about these days. People I think about how there are so many different pipelines into the right wing. In my mind, there is obviously like a lot of people talked about kind of the manosphere and how like this kind of gender stuff, dating advice often leads young men into this kind of right wing rabbit hole, right? There have been these conversations about kind of the health movement, the crunchies or the health nuts, the people who like to go outside and be outdoors and they don't want to take a vaccine, and like how that used to be kind of a diverse political perspective, but now we see that kind of leading more reliably to right wing politics.
Yeah.
But I think another one of the things that people don't talk about enough are the kind of entrepreneurial content creators and the way that those people have a real serious impact on the mindset, the kind of policy thinking of those who kind of adhere to what they have to say. So I think about the folks who are talking about like you got to get your LLC, You need to make sure that you know, are investing, that you use every single tax loophole. And like, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. That stuff is
Yeah.
like, you know, like you do what you need to do. Like, do what you need to do. But the way so many people think that if I knew more information, if I knew more about how the rich and the wealthy do their thing, then I too would be richer. I think that's leading to a certain kind of conservatism that concerns me. Quite
For
frankly, that
sure.
kind of like, you know, LLC bro to MAGA pipeline, I think is very, very strong.
Yeah, I think it's something that we used to talk about it more. More like before the internet, we always talked about how particular black people would get a certain economic level, and when they got the economic level, they started thinking about the people like thought people think like people that was around them. I think now because of the internet, we've become more bombarded with the red pill, blue pill, desirability, high value man type shit. But I think in general though, that was usually the entry point that a lot of our community got into conservatism. And to your point, I think there's something that we've forgotten about because a lot of those, black men, specifically our counterparts that talked about being a Trumper, they use entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial orientation to justify their economic beliefs and being like, "Hey, listen, I don't agree. He is racist, he is classist, but shit, they are too. He better with money, so I'm going over there."
That's exactly right. So, okay, so I actually have some data for this. We have a friend, Joshua Doss. I'm sure you know Joshua on TikTok. Um, Doss does research and polling for hit strategies. And one of the things that he found in his research was that there are this group of black voters who look at race, who don't really see race as that important for them. It really isn't something that they feel is very important. And those people are more likely than almost any other group of black voters to support a Republican, maybe more broadly, but Donald Trump specifically.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is exactly that. We talk a lot about like the black family and black fathers and homes, but I think the less likely you are to think about what is good for your community, and the more likely you are to think about what's good for me personally, there is an immediate connection to your likelihood of supporting Trump. The last thing I'll say about this before we go back to this boycott topic is that I was in the barbershop. Like, the reason I had this thought is I was in the barbershop just before the election, and I asked everybody in the barbershop, who are you voting for? Are you voting? Are you registered to vote? Right? I was just like leading up to the election. I live in Tennessee. Tennessee is a very, very low voter turnout state. And so I ask everybody, are you voting? I would ask people at stoplights, are you voting? Just because I feel like no one talks about it here. So I'm talking to people in the barbershop, and this guy was like, yeah, my wife made me vote for Kamala Harris. You know, I did it for her. Okay, fine. But I really want Trump to win. And he began to talk about this like minute, idiosyncratic, obscure policy tax loophole that apparently Trump was going to reenact or reinstate. And it was that very specific, narrow tax loophole was the thing that made him want to vote for Trump. And I said, brother, immigration? Like, are we talking about a woman's right to choose? We're not talking about rhetoric. We're not talking about DEI and woke and all this. Like the very thing, the thing that convinced you, tariffs. We're not talking about the thing that convinced you was this like really specific tax that I imagine would probably save him a couple $1,000s. Like, I don't even understand it, right? But
Man, I'm about to
it's
say, man, hey,
amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
man, listen, capitalism sucks.
Okay,
I know capitalism sucks.
right.
The thing that pissed me off though is the people that become the most entrepreneurial, prioritizing in politics be broke. You feel me? And that just bothers me. It's like, listen, I'm not trying to be classist. I'm not trying to shame nobody, you know what I'm saying, for not having no money. Shit, I ain't rich either. You see what I'm saying? But it bothers me that you are broke. You see what I'm saying? You are robbing Peter to pay Paul. You having to figure out if you gonna pay your rent or you gonna feed yourself, and you coming to tell me about some economic policy that doesn't really exist. And if it did exist, it won't apply to your broke ass. And me just understanding that is like, man, I feel like, bro, during the election, I live in Texas. You feel me? I live
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Texas, born and raised in Texas and Houston. You know what I'm saying? And here we also have a low voter turnout.
yeah.
From having this conversation with you, I've learned now. I am learned. I've come to realization that I
Yeah,
can't be sympathetic to some of them. You feel me? That they do it.
right.
It's like, think about it. You in Tennessee? Are you born
Yeah.
and raised in Tennessee too?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. My wife is from
So my
Tennessee, and so
point.
I'm in
But you gonna
Tennessee.
get my point though. My point
I'm
still
gonna
got my
get your
point still
point.
got my
I'm gonna
point
get
still
your
got my
point.
point. Down here, bro, we like fish and water when it comes to racism.
Right,
2 + 2
right,
is 4. The sky is blue and shit. Racism, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I
right,
think
right.
that once you're able to rationalize racism as just being a truism or a social norm, you're able to like almost make it where like deprioritize in different ways and think about the family structure, think about your Christian values, think about, you know what I'm saying, how you feel like men should not be in women's sports. Think about like these are all entry points that I found from having conversations during the campaign time that people was getting into. Because even now, trans women in women's sports, conservatives has so like they so good at it that it's like they can just say they can justify, hey, we gonna take down Black Lives Matter Boulevard along with taking trans women out of sports, and niggas gonna be like,
Missed
and they'll be
one,
like,
okay with the other. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh man, listen. We can justify. I almost think about it like this, man. I hate to even say it like this, but it's some people in our community. For if I say what I want to say, I'm a preface it. There's some people in our community that hate trans people more than they hate white supremacy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you told them that a boycott would lead to trans people not getting some shit, it might last a little longer.
That's I. I don't disagree with you. I actually think you're right. And it's tragic. I do think that there are like these vulnerabilities that different communities have. Like I think white people are deeply vulnerable to going along with things that are fundamentally against their best interest if they are convinced that black people will get something that they don't deserve, right? Like that's a vulnerability. And y'all got to deal with that. Like, you know what I mean? I think black people deeply vulnerable to homophobia. Like if you can convince like it's a black person, like you won't be able to convince us against, you can't use racism really. That's not gonna work. But if you use sexism, you use a little
And homophobia,
homophobia,
yeah, what?
oh man, like there's a vulnerability there. And I think a lot of communities need to kind of be careful with that. Okay, I want to come back to this thing. I want to come back to boycotts. I want to come back to boycotts, man. Because I you said something earlier that like, hey, like are we even doing the thing that's going to get us what we want, right? And I think that's true. I think that boycotts exist on a spectrum that we can kind of call out in the last couple of years, right? Like on one end of the spectrum, you have those black squares on Instagram in 2020.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot. Whoa.
That what was that? That was crazy. Like that's not going to do anything. That isn't going to do anything. June 2nd or whatever it was, 2020. People are using the okay. On the others, yeah, I think DC is exactly right about that. Lyndon B. Johnson. You convince a white person that the lowest white person that he's above a Negro. You can like get him to do whatever you want. Is a paraphrase of that quote. Okay, coming back to the boycotts. So on one end of the spectrum, you have the kind of the black squares, but on the other end, and I'm not sure where exactly on the spectrum it is, but I do think it's further up the spectrum toward an effective boycott. I think the target boycotts that we're seeing happening right now, I'm for them. I'm for them. Just like on a principle level, I'm for economic consciousness, right?
Yeah,
Like I'm talking to Conscious Lee. I'm for people being more conscious about where they spend their money and how they spend their money and when they spend their money. I think about the fact that there are 41 million black people in America. There are 41 million people total in Canada. So if you get even a fraction of black America to boycott a specific business, to say, hey,
hey,
we don't like the way they're going to hear us. They're going to feel that. I think Pastor Jamal Bryant's going around. He's saying that black people spend $12 million a day on average at Target. I have no idea where he gets that number from. But I do think that economic consciousness, even if it's just a fraction of black people in this country who are doing it, I think it will show up in the ledger, right?
I agree.
But but I do think there's some legitimate questions being asked about, like, is this the end? Is the end to just do this for 40 days and then we go back to target like business as usual or what? And so I think those questions are very, very legitimate. But I'm putting my cards out there, man. I want to know what you think, but I'm for the boycott.
Yeah, I was for the boycott. I wish it would have been a little bit longer. I wish that it would have been a little bit longer. And I think that the way that we disseminate information on social media need to be a little bit better because right now we be in our silos. You know what I'm saying? From being around different people now and seeing them scroll their TikTok,
Yeah,
specifically,
yeah,
I've seen, bro, like 10 different astronomically, I'm talking about like like this For You page and this person completely over this person and it's figuring out how do we get messages like the boycott to not spend a dime on this particular day to make it where it could be a week, but make it where people on that side of social media and that side of social media and that side of social media is able to be a part of it. I think that it's too many people that be stuck in purity politics
yeah.
and they believe that for them to get involved with something or for them to like strive for something politically, it has to be captured in purity. And I think that those people are not productive. I think that's a
Right.
not productive way to get into politics. And I think people that was talking shit about the, you know what I'm saying, the protests, is like, hey, this let me rant this one more second right here. The thing that pisses me off about them is, listen, the people that usually be the loudest talking shit about how the protest is going and how the organizing is going, they ain't doing no organizing. They be having more energy for critiquing how the pop protesting, how the organizing go, than they had put any energy into contributing to the organizing of the protest. I'm an avid believer in staying in your lane and being able to stick to your strength. So maybe you know what I'm saying, protesting and organizing is not your ministry. Maybe it's not your ministry. I can go with that. But your ministry cannot just be trivializing and trying to pathologize and trying to argue, debate, and talk about the, you know what I'm saying, legitimacy of every single effort. I don't like that. I don't like those people. Like, you kiss my ass. Sorry for cussing, but kiss my ass. God damn it.
Okay, all right, all right, all right, all right. So I think we got that one out the way. I want to keep going. I want to talk about Black Lives Matter Boulevard. So just yesterday in DC, Mayor Muriel Bowser, of course, ordered, I believe, back in 2020 that Black Lives Matter be painted on the road. I couldn't tell you exactly where. I could take you there if I was in DC, but I don't know what that road was called just before. It used to be right in front of the White House. Now it is no longer. They got rid of Black Lives Matter from the painting of the letters BLACK, Black Lives Matter, on the road. It's gone. What are your thoughts? What do you think about that?
From an economic perspective, I think about how we've been bamboozled and hoodwinked about how much they care about money and how they do impact calculus, or how they do comparative analysis about where they spend money at. I'm sure the workers that were paid to be there, the material and equipment they used and paid for to be there, and the time that was actually put in, it cost. Did it cost the taxpayers?
Hmm.
Yeah. So if your argument was putting the BLM words on the street was a waste of taxpayers' dollars, you don't think that it, like, to me, turns the argument that you want to spend more taxpayers' dollars to get this out the way? And to me, I'm thinking like this, man. Right now, we have so many issues in the world, and
Hmm.
we're told that we're being sensitive. What you prioritize was taking paint off the road.
Hmm.
Speaks volumes and to me illustrates the character of this administration. And to me it shows how much full of shit that is. Like, you don't really care about money like that, or you believe there are certain things that's just undervalued always already that should not have any money spent on it. And that's the reason why this is now being seen as waste and fraud,
Hmm.
scamming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love the take. I love the take. First of all, like bringing it back to the economics of it all. It's unnecessary. I think on the one hand, I'll be honest with you. On the one hand, I was annoyed actually in 2020 when they put it down because it
Ah,
wasn't
for
the thing
sure,
that
for
people
sure.
were at. People weren't asking for that. Black
Well,
people
definitely,
were.
definitely.
Black people were like, okay, we're gonna get in the streets and hey guys, we want paint on the roads. No, 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 no. That's not what we were asking for. We were
Yeah.
asking for justice. We're asking for police reform. We're asking for the John Lewis voting rights law. So it wasn't what black people were asking for to begin with, and so that annoyed me to begin with. I'm hopeful though that going forward, um, our leaders won't be so quick. to invest in symbolic change over substantive change. And I think that for me is the thing that I think this moment is, I hope, teaching so many people that your symbolic changes. It's kind of like legislating by executive order. I look at all the things that Donald Trump has done. Say we have elections going forward, big if, big if, big if. But if we have elections going forward, all the things that he's done by executive order can just be undone by executive order. It's just that simple, right?
Yeah.
Whereas when you get Congress to pass a law, when you go through that process, it's a much more durable change. And so I think that Black Lives Matter Boulevard going away and being changed, as I think DC said, to Liberty Plaza, I think it's a real hit. It's kind of a narrative hit in that it feels like they're rolling back all the things from 2020. It feels like they are on a vendetta to undo 2020 on so many levels, from the healthcare level to the racial equity level and beyond. But beyond, and from the electoral level as well. But beyond all that, it's kind of symbolic in the first place. And so, like, if things are changed, you know what I'm saying? If the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
symbolism
yeah.
is changed, I don't think we lose a whole lot, to be totally honest with you. And so, yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm hopeful that going forward, we will advocate for and push for more substantive change over the symbolic stuff.
For sure. I think the only thing I'm critical of when it comes to BLM specifically, especially in 2025, is how people in our community specifically, but I think the entire country makes it where the organization in the movement itself are seen as being irredeemable because of scamming, because of fraudulent, because they feel like what they did was most, what I'm saying, symbolic. I think that's what I'm very critical of, is how when Black people put together organizations or have entities that we structure for ourselves by ourselves, that they become these litmus tests, that like almost like it's a purity test
Yeah,
that's stuck in purity politics again. And it makes
yeah,
it where we throw the baby out with the bathwater. And because we can acknowledge that we can critique back Black Lives Matter as a movement, Black Lives Matter as an organization, this means that, you feel me, it's bad. And I feel like that's what I'm critical of. I am too. Also, somebody that was like, hey, nah, we said stop killing us, goddamn, and give us some education. And you said we gonna stop calling the master bedroom the master bedroom. It's now the main bedroom. You
right,
said
right.
that we gonna, you feel me, we gonna paint BLM on the road, and we gonna declare Juneteenth as a national holiday. You better be satisfied. Like, that's not
Oh
what we
my
asked for.
goodness.
That's not
Oh
what we
my
asked for.
goodness.
I
That's
agree. That's
not.
not what we asked for at all. I'm sure you can probably think of more things they gave us.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, you're keeping it very real. You talked about purity politics, which makes me think about Gavin Newsom, and so I feel like we should just transition there, get this out of the way. Gavin Newsom, of course, met with and did a podcast. His very first podcast episode was with Charlie Kirk. I did not watch it. I chose not to watch it. I've seen some clips here and there, but I chose not to watch it because I'm be careful what I say, but Charlie Kirk for sure isn't my kind of guy. But I'm not totally sure if Gavin Newsom is my kind of guy either. Do you think it's purity politics for people to be upset that Gavin Newsom is doing a podcast or did a podcast episode, platform Charlie Kirk? Do you think that the kind of backlash to that is purity politics, or is it something else?
I think that it can be purity politics where it's like, I need this thing to be perfect. And I think I need you to move purely and orient yourself only towards individuals that have the political, social, economic beliefs that I have. You know what I'm saying? But I think that what Gavin Newsom did is an extension of what a lot of us have been critical of, from Barack Obama to Joe
Hmm.
Biden to Kamala Harris. And it's kind of leaning more to the right or leaning more to the moderate. I think that when Gavin Newsom is going to this platform, he's still trying to appeal to that particular audience. I think that he's doing it at the expense of being able to bring more people from the left end. To me, I think that outside of the misogyny and the patriarchy and the sexism, you feel me, of how Kamala Harris lost, I think that if I'm being critical about what she did, I think that there were times that I feel like politically it was like, I'm gonna lean more and try to get the moderate people, and I'm cool with not getting people over here because I ain't gonna vote anyway. And I think that
Hmm.
that right there to me is what Gavin Newsom like, hey fam, you you playing both sides, bro. This ain't about
Right.
purity. Right now, you're
Right.
playing both sides, and it's very symbolic almost. I know y'all like symbols on the left, goddamn. It's very symbolic that you chose this individual to launch,
Right.
you feel me, the
Right.
podcast with. On
Right.
top
Right.
of, listen, if you believe half of what you and your party has said about Donald Trump, there is no way that you're even creating a stasis point for you to have an even playing field to talk to this man. Or I think about the Overton window. I go back and forth on it, Gary. I ain't gonna lie, I go back and forth on it. On one instance, it's like, damn, the Overton window is expanded and made it where we start putting bullshit in it when we start debating shit that we shouldn't be debating. You
Mm-hmm.
feel me? But also,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, hey, Donald Trump is the president. He already in the Overton window. Charlie Kirk
Mm-hmm.
already got a platform. He already in the Overton window. So I go
Mm-hmm.
back and forth with thinking about the utility of it. And then to end this rant, it's like I will almost ask you a question. How did you feel about Hassan Piker going on to Theo Von's platform?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought
That's
it
a
was
good
kind
question.
of I thought like at first I was like, what the hell? But the clips I done seen, it's like, damn.
Exactly. No, exactly right. I think so. There's a thing here. My issue is actually not with him having a conversation with Charlie Kirk. Actually, that's actually not my personal issue. My personal issue is with the way that he kind of shifted and acquiesced, or he kind of came to his side, or kind of found these like olive branches, particularly around trans people. The idea of trans women in women's sports being a threat to girls in sports. I worked in schools. You were a teacher. You worked in schools. There are, I can say confidently, that there's statistically zero young men who are pretending to be girls in order to dominate in girls sports, which is kind of the thesis statement of this entire thing, is that like, oh, these people are trying to take advantage of something. That's just not happening. And so to talk about it in a way where it is a legitimate issue, I think is kind of a red herring in the first place. And so there were a number of areas from what I've seen. Again, I didn't watch it, so you can critique me on that. But the clips and the quotes I've seen, it sounded as though Gavin Newsom was very friendly to right wing kind of talking points, and that's kind of my issue. So let's bring that back to
Mine
Hassan,
too.
or even to Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar just did the Jubilee, one liberal versus 20
Yeah.
MAGAs thing, and he killed it. I watched it the other night. It was amazing. It was like great. It was so clear rhetorically. He had very honest conversations. Some people have seen my video where I spent a week with Black MAGA at the RNC, and so like
Great video. Great
I'm
video, y'all. If you
all
haven't seen
for
it,
it.
go check it out.
Hey, thank you. I'm all for the kind of talking across the aisle, across differences, no matter what those differences are, political or otherwise. I think it's important, but you do have to go in with clarity, which I think Hassan does with Theo Von. I think he goes in very clear about
That's
what it is that he believes and what it is that he wants to stand for, and to your point about Gavin Newsom, the issue, the error that I've seen in just the kind of bits and pieces that I've seen from that conversation, the error I think is that he is trying to use his kind of association with the right as a way to signal to those outside of California that he is like a kind of a safe political bet, right? I think Gavin Newsom is in many ways seen as kind of a front runner, a
for
contender for
sure.
2028.
For sure
And,
right
and,
now,
and I think
yeah.
one of his biggest issues here, the Achilles heel that he's kind of navigating, is that a lot of people in America see him as like a California liberal, right? And we don't need that. We need someone who's more moderate. And so I think the time he spends with the right wing allows him to, in many ways, kind of position himself as a more moderate voice. But I talked to Ellie Mistal for Substack a couple of weeks ago, or last week, and he said, "I wish that Democrats," and I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said, Democrats need to act like these folks are the existential threat that they've been telling us that they are. And I really don't, it doesn't feel to me when I see like a Gavin Newsom or even others, even I see what happened at the joint address to Congress, the kind of State of the Union.
Yeah.
I don't see Democrats acting like these people are the big bag fascist authoritarian threat, existential threat to democracy that they've been telling us they are. And so how can I
Yeah.
believe you if you aren't going to act as if they are the thing that you've been saying they are? Go ahead.
Man, I write this down real fast so you it's fine, forget it, man. But Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, her and I had a conversation, and that's what she
Yep.
said. She said the Democrats have to match their energy. And I think that
Yep.
right now, it's not being done. I think that the Democrats have to sit with. We don't believe y'all. We don't believe y'all are who you are. Y'all say y'all. We don't believe y'all are who y'all say y'all are. We don't believe that the Republicans are who y'all say they are. We don't believe y'all. We don't believe that y'all are going to be able to even get in power and codify the law in ways to protect the people that voted for you. And I think that you're more focused on making sure they don't see you as bad people, even though they're going to say y'all bad people anyway. But y'all willing to play respectability politics at the expense of your constituents. And I think that's going to always
Right.
be bad. When I was getting there with the stasis point, I feel like my ADHD was going crazy, so I went on tangent to other things. But it's like, hey, your stasis point, Gavin Newsom, it replicates a lot of high school boys that
Hmm.
also get
Hmm.
into MAGA via hatred of trans people.
Hmm.
You're weaponizing the trans identity, and that's your stasis point or olive branch in order to get into with these Republicans. You can feel like, hey, guys, we might disagree on a lot, but we agree on the competition and fairness. You see what I'm saying? It's just like the fact that you're willing to make trans people, specifically trans women, the bridge that you can walk on and burn when you feel like you need to. That shit don't sit
Don't
right with
sit.
me, bro.
Don't sit right. Don't sit right.
It don't sit
Don't
right
sit
with me,
right.
bro.
All right. All right. We're gonna keep going. We could talk about that for a long time. We're gonna keep
Definitely,
going.
I got more to say, but yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone.
All right, all right, all right. So, thinking about Democrats and how they should be, this is a great transition. The government is set to shut down on Friday when the current government funding expires. And so, the big question right now, we're at Tuesday. So, the big question is, what will Democrats do? Will Democrats align themselves with Republicans to pass a spending bill? Shout out to Bambi Rogers from Tennessee, Trans in Tennessee. Shout out.
Yeah, man, I
Maybe
seen we had, you know what I'm saying, Debbie
Oh,
come out better up in here.
should we take a couple minutes to look through the comments here and see what we talk about? I see some
Yeah,
people in here.
we had a lot of
I
people in the
saw
comments. Shout out to Robert Jones, man. Shout out to you, Robert Jones, man. As a matter of fact, hold on. Robert Jones, is that Baldwin's son?
oh, okay.
Hold
Okay.
on, hold on. My bad. Hold on. Robert Jones, I ain't tripping, man. That's Baldwin's, not actual child, but man, that's somebody I've been rocking with since I was a
Okay.
teenager, bro. Since I was a
That's what's up.
teenager. Like,
That's
man,
what's
that's why
up.
I'm like, hold on, Robert Jones.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, we're so should Democrats let the government shut down or consciously, knower of all things, or should Democrats align themselves, kind of go in with the GOP with Republicans to pass a spending bill to advance the government.
I got mixed. I gotta go back and forth, honestly. Go back and forth. The bipolar ADHD impulse like, yeah, nah, fuck that. They gonna use politics on y'all, match the energy, proverbially let your political thing swing on their ass and put it on the table. Say, nah, y'all figure out how y'all gonna do it. Cause every single way, formerly son of baller. My bad, Robert. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. Great, you know I'm a big fan. But yeah, I think proverbially though, it's like, hey, the reason why they were able to win in many instances because they were able to manipulate political victories that they cost because they understood people didn't pay attention to it. I'm also under the thing of being like, damn though, do you really want to make a political move at the expense of American people? Because what about all them federal workers? You feel me? They ain't got nothing to do with the hell y'all got going on. They just trying to pay their bills. You feel me? They ain't trying to be no collateral in your political wrestling match y'all having, and they don't want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
I
think
don't
you're
know. What you go back and how you feel? I go back and forth though. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I don't know.
I'm with you from just a impact perspective on the lives of everyday people. At the end of the day, the GOP controls the executive branch, the legislative branch. They dang near control the judiciary. Like they really do control the government. And so they have the House, the Senate, and the White House. So they have everything. They have all the representatives and senators and president they need to pass a bill, pass a spending bill to fund the government on their own. And uh I would probably let them do that. This is just my kind of perspective. Looking at it, Elon Musk is tearing the government apart, like piece by piece. We've seen thousands. I think I saw a number 80,000. I'd have to fact check that, but I think 80,000 employees fired, furloughed, or set to be laid off, or something like that. Some insane number of people. And please, somebody fact check me. But we have Elon Musk actively dismantling the federal government. We want to talk about government workers losing their jobs or losing funding or being furloughed or whatever the case may be. They're already doing it. They're already doing it without you. And so I think that they have to own their leadership. Republicans have to own their leadership in this moment. They have to own the government that they want to create in this moment. And I do not think that the Democrats should align themselves in any way with the insanity. I lived in the DC area for a long time, for a few years. And so I got to know a lot of people in the area. And the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, is made up in a significant way of people who are either working for the government or associated with the government. I mean, it
One
felt
way
like
or another. Yeah,
every
definitely.
household was somehow associated with the government. And so there's an entire economy being destroyed right now in this area. And it's being done on purpose. You know, Trump is talking about moving government agencies to these far flung places like Wyoming and Montana, that moving them out of DC, selling government buildings, selling the Montgomery bus station where they did the bus boycotts. Like there are all of these moves that are being taken, made to destroy the federal government. And you're gonna align yourself with that. You're gonna help them continue to do that. For me, this is just my bias, my perspective. That sounds crazy. That sounds
I
crazy.
agree with
Let
that.
them do it on their own.
And that's my inclination. My first, I'm like, man, and see, I'm thinking like, man, you being hasty, but like, my impulse is like, nah, let them figure it out. Put
Figure
y'all,
it out.
put y'all, put y'all shit on the table and say, y'all figure it out. Y'all the ones that's trying to hijack the government in every single level. Y'all the ones that saying y'all the way, the truth, and the light, and y'all the solvency for all of America's problems. Shit, y'all figure it out for yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Shut this motherfucker down. You know what I mean? But the Negro in me recognizes that a lot of people that works for the government in those particular positions, we're gonna be impacted. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about when I went to the White House and I got to meet the butlers. Hey man, these brothers been in this position regardless who the president is. That's how they've been feeding their family. You know what I'm saying? So I just gotta think about sometimes like, hey man, the, McDonald's is a shitty corporation. They're unethical. They do a whole bunch of foulness. You feel me? But I'm not finna go chastise the person in McDonald's for the ethics and politics and morals of the company. So when it comes to federal workers, I try to have that same energy. But in the big picture, let them folks figure that shit out. That's how I be feeling. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna ignore the real live material reality implications of what I'm saying. But I do agree with you. Like the inclination, like, nah, y'all figure this shit out. How many times y'all let the government shut down for 5 or 6 hours so y'all can sensationalize it to the public? Y'all
Yeah,
turn now. Y'all
yeah,
turn.
yeah,
Welcome
yeah,
to the
yeah.
club.
Welcome to the club. Okay, last question for you. You've been very generous. Appreciate your time, man. This has been great.
I
I'm
plan for an hour.
curious.
I told the wife we're going for an hour. I know.
All
Every
right.
time you and I talk, bro, I always feel like
Yeah.
shit. I can talk to this bro. We met in
Hey, I
Vegas. You
appreciate
know
it.
what I'm
I feel the
saying? When
same
we see,
way.
I'll be
I
like,
feel
yeah, I
the
can talk to this
same
nigga all
way.
day, man.
It's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. So, I mean, is America over? That's my big question. That's the question I've been trying to get an answer to from everyone that I've been talking to in the last couple of, I guess now, month and a half of Trump being president. Is this it? Do we think that we're going to come back? Do we think that there will be elections? You know, we talking about sensationalization. Some people are saying it's over. Some people are saying it is. I'm curious what you think. Is this it?
I think that to me, my answer is twofold. I always try to remind myself not to be held captive to the recent, or don't be a prisoner of what's going on right now, and always be mindful of the history that you know what I'm saying that puts us right here. So I always try to remind myself that Donald Trump is not as evil as Andrew Jackson, and he ain't as smart as
Mm,
Woodrow Wilson.
mhm,
Them two presidents was some motherfuckers. You see, you know that. You know what I'm saying? I also know that there was a lot of racial progression that happened in this country, specifically for black people, that some president in I think the 30s kind of undone. You know what I'm saying? So I try to be mindful of the shit that's going on right now. Our ancestors already survived it and we've been here before. But I also try not to become so like historically conscious that I lose sight of the uniqueness of what's going on now. You see what I'm saying? And what I say now in responding to your question, regardless of whether we have an election or not, I would say the America that we grew up with, the
Mm,
America that we knew, even though the idea of America and the reality of America has always been two separate things. I
mm,
think that both of those, the reality and the idea that America that we've been sold over our lifetime, I know me and you the same age. I think that shit dead, bro. I'm willing to
mm,
debate. It's dead. All of the truisms that used to be going, all even the idea of decorum, bro. When me and you was kids, we seen Howard Dean crash out by just saying, "Woo, woo, woo." Nigga said, nigga,
Political
sit
career
down.
over.
Career
Political
over
career
with.
over.
You
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
I'm saying? That like that's the America we grew up in. That America gone. This man got, you feel me, this many felonies. He got this many sexual assault cases, I'm saying allegations. He didn't settle with this one right here. You know what I'm saying? He got this many baby man. They was mad about Obama having on that tan suit and having a selfie in the Oval Office. Now Donald Trump got a man high off of who knows what with his kid with a come on, that America dead as we knew it. You see what I'm saying? Even saying this way, that's internally. Externally, the America used to be the insecure bully that was very good at walking around the playground and really bolstering their muscle and bolstering their gadgets and tools, but they really was like broken and insecure on the inside.
mm,
The broken insecureness of America is no longer on the inside, it's on the outside as well.
mm,
So the way that American hegemony, the way that American leadership, the way that America was able to use its militaristic, you know what I'm saying, arms to
mm,
be able to dictate in international relations, that shit dead, bro. That
mm,
America is no longer respected in that way. You know what I'm saying? Even this, the BRICS, the beginning of BRICS, to me, that shows even economically, America is losing a stronghold over the international economy. America is dead and gone. You see that? To me, that's how I see it. Like the America I grew up with, the America being the greatest country in the world, even though it's never technically been that way.
mm,
Hey, man, we ain't nobody buying it no more. You feel me? We see you for who you is. You been claiming to be an orange
mm.
for 200 years. Now your ass really getting squeezed and we see apple juice.
Conscious Lee, my friend, my brother. I appreciate you, man. This is amazing. Telling people how to. You can hit the subscribe button. I think it's like right
Yes.
there
I
to
don't
be
know
in
where it's
touch
at.
with. It's
Definitely make sure
somewhere
y'all
up there.
subscribe.
Yeah, definitely subscribe. And of course, you already follow him. But if you don't, be sure to go follow my boy Consciously. Appreciate you, man. This is amazing. Have
Oh,
fun.
definitely, man. Thank y'all for having me. The Consciously on all social media platforms. If you hear from my platform, y'all make sure y'all go follow. You know what I'm saying? Garrison. He definitely got the juice, man. I'm telling y'all, if you're looking for some long form quality content that is able to really give some insight, that's really able to make you think, and not just like, sometimes it'd be filler. It'd be like filler spaces, filler words, filler clips. Bro ain't got that. It's gonna be straight, you feel me, bars the entire time, and it's done in a very cinematic, captivating way. Like you want to watch it, and you feel like it's like production. You know what I'm saying? If I ain't know no better, I'll be like, damn, bro, how much you got over there? How much you pay the editor, and how much you pay for the studio? You know what I'm saying? But I didn't have conversations with you, so I know you just cooking, bro. You just putting in that work. So
I appreciate you.
man,
I
you gotta
appreciate you.
have
I
more of
appreciate
these.
you.
Definitely looking forward to doing it. You know what I'm saying? Next time we can I'm saying we can do it on mine, and you know what I
On
mean. Shout
yours,
out to yeah, we gonna
thousand
do it again
percent.
though. We're gonna run it back. We're gonna run it
Say
back though for sure. We're gonna run
say
it back
when.
for
Say
sure. You
when.
know
The
what I'm saying?
news is moving, so we're gonna have things to talk about. So just
Oh
say
yeah, the
say
news. We
when,
got
and
all.
we'll do it.
Hey Trump, something I have accepted as an influencer, as an intellectual, as a thinker. In Trump America, it's never gonna be a shortage of shit to talk about, things to make content about. But the question
Facts.
becomes, what are you going to talk about, and how you gonna talk about it? Right now, what I know to the audience watching right now, Garrison and I know y'all tired of outrage content. We know that. We know y'all tired of, you feel me, MAGA outrage content. We know y'all know Trump is full of shit, and we know every day we wake up, it's gonna be something crazy. We know that.
That part.
So right now, us as influencers, as content creators, we are currently in the lab, all trying to figure out ways to be more solution oriented and more action oriented, and not just doom and gloom. The world is on fire. Look at this crazy shit Trump did. We know. With that being said, let us know in the comments what you would like to. What are your suggestions and how we can be
Facts.
more solution oriented in the topics you want to hear about outside of the news? I know a lot of y'all started following me, particularly because I talked about academia, philosophy, theory that didn't have necessarily strong ties to what was going on in the world. So definitely,
Mm,
subscribe to both of our newsletter. You know what I'm saying? Make
mhm,
sure y'all follow us on Substack. Here I'm gonna speak for Garrison. Here's where I do a little. Here's where I'm a little bit more vulnerable.
mhm,
Here's where I'm a little bit more vulnerable, where I'm looking to gain more of a relationship with the people that want to have a relationship with me and really wanting to make sure I'm giving y'all what y'all want. You know what I'm saying? I want to make
mhm.
sure I'm delivering the content y'all looking to consume. So yeah.
Man, you said it perfectly. I feel the same way. I'm trying new things over here. I never go live, but I'm gonna do this. I'm trying it out and trying new stuff. And to your point, being vulnerable, trying like hey, that's what it's for. And I appreciate everybody taking time to subscribe to both of us. I don't want to hold you much longer, brother. I appreciate your time, man. This was amazing, and we will do it again over on yours. Someone mentioned I'll be on Marlon Weems on Thursday, and we're just gonna keep it going. So I love it. I love it. I appreciate you. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.